Today's video is 3 keys to find your true calling. So, we all want purpose, and sometimes we have it, then it changes, then it shifts. Sometimes we haven't had it, and it becomes something that we think, what's my purpose, where it is, and we're like pushing and pulling, and we can't figure it out. So, before I share the 3 keys, which I'll share in just a moment, I want to tell you how I see purpose. So, purpose is often seen as the big thing that we're supposed to be doing, and this can trip us up. So, for example, the big thing I'm doing is I'm supposed to be curing a disease, or I'm supposed to be helping people in another country with their water supply. These are big ones and they're wonderful, but it doesn't have to be the big thing. It can be, but purpose is also day to day kind of things, and people don't see that. And I think if you follow more of your day to day purpose, it'll actually lead you to even more, or maybe not. For some people, the day to day purpose is enough, and that's okay. There's no judgment here. It's whatever fuels your soul, right? So for some people, they want that the bigger vision for themselves, and for some people it's the day to day, but we need both, right? We need both. We need the people that invent things, that cure things, but we need also, so many of us, to be kinder and more compassionate on a day to day basis in helping people. So, for example, it can be a simple thing. I was talking with a client who was sharing that she has a neighbor next door, an elderly woman who has onset Alzheimer's and is, decaying in her life. And sometimes she'll bring soup or little foods to cheer her up. The woman, her neighbor, still remembers her name. And she said to me, every time I go there, she lights up. She's so happy, and we talk a little bit. And I said, well, how do you feel when you leave? And she says, I feel also lit up. I feel like I gave some quality in her life that day. I feel like I shared this connection and compassion. And I said, is that a purpose? It is. A purpose is a calling for who you want to be in this world, how you want to be in this world. In that moment with that person, your next door neighbor, that was your purpose. And she can continue doing that. And that's a continued purpose, or one of her purposes. So look at it in that context, just so you don't trip yourself up and it has to be the big one. But the interesting thing is about those daily purposes, they can also lead you to a larger purpose as well, because you begin to see what lights you up, which is key number one. Key number one is follow your heart, not your head. So, your head, if you wrote down what's my purpose and you did like a little list, and your mind might say your purpose is to help people, her purpose is to maybe teach others. It might give you some information. But what you want to do, really, if you want to find your true calling, is not get the answer from your head, get it from your heart. And here's one way to do this. You have to decide, you got to be out there more. So if you're somebody that's been like holding back and not doing things, not getting out of your comfort zone, you're not going to find it in the 4 walls of your home. You have to be out there. Can you get ideas about from podcasts or YouTube? Sure. But being out in the world physically with real people, that's where the magic starts to happen. So, what you do in key number one is ask yourself, and I would make a list first, what lights me up? Write that question down. What lights me up? Or what used to light me up, but I don't do anymore? And you'll get a host of different answers. What lights, and don't judge it. Don't just say, oh, I can't do that. Put it all down. The best way is to not bar anything, put it down. So now you've asked yourself the question and you'll have some answers. What lights me up is going in nature and feeling the beautiful weather around me. What lights me up is going skiing. What lights me up is reading a good book and getting inspired. What lights me up is spending time with my children. It can be anything. You should have a pretty good list. Give yourself 10, 15 minutes with a cup of tea and let it just come out. And then start picking ones off the list that you haven't done that you want to do and allow yourself to participate in those activities. So for example, I know a lot of people say, well, I used to love volunteering and blah, 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 but I don't do it anymore because of some reason. Then do that. Do whatever it is, but not with the idea, oh, it has to be my purpose. If you do that, you're pushing. Now, lead with your heart. Just say, I'm here, I'm doing this for joy. So, joy can become your indicator for purpose. Is it always your purpose? No. There's some things that we enjoy that are not your purpose. I love and enjoy nature big time, but I don't see myself as being purpose like being a park ranger or doing something on the outside of nature in my work. I love that as something that nourishes my soul, but not necessarily my purpose. So what happens is when you go out and you start participating in these things that you enjoy, you're around people. So it's like a springboard and you start making friends or you're networking with other colleagues, whatever it is that you're participating in. And those people that you start connecting with within the thing that you enjoy becomes like a domino effect because I'm having fun. Now I'm with the people. I'm listening to them. They've got other ideas. That springboards me to the next thing they're talking about. And before you know it, you're on this trail. You're starting a trail of they just mentioned this, I'm going to try that. Or we're going to work together on ABC. So it becomes this beautiful trail of things just by you being involved in the world. You're opening up doors of possibilities and opportunities when you let your heart lead and you get out of your comfort zone. Make sense? All right. Number two key is pay attention to the cues. So, what that means is when you're in the joy thing that you're doing that's lighting you up, when you get home, immediately do this because this is how you get really conscious of what lights you up and could be part of your purpose. Ask yourself this question: what lit me up about this? What was so enjoyable for me? What inspired me? Write down those questions. And the answers to those questions are going to be the cues to show you, oh, this is what I need and want as part of my purpose. So here's a personal example. I've always been a therapist and a coach now. And I started out as a counselor, therapist from college. And I was disillusioned in this work that I was doing at the time. And I was offered a big position as a director in another town. And I took it for 6 years. So I wasn't counseling anymore, I was director. And at first it was exciting and challenging, but started to feel very empty. And so on my own, I decided to volunteer. And I picked volunteering for a drug and rehab center, and they wanted a counselor. I still have my degree and my certification. And they wanted me to lead a group for families that had addicts. And I started doing that at night voluntarily. And I was in my happy place. What were my cues that made me happy? I wrote it down. I'm helping people. I'm making a difference. I'm helping them get to the core and the root of their problem. And these are cues, what I needed. And I wasn't feeling those cues in the director position. That's why if you're doing something now and you're not happy, it probably doesn't have those important essence qualities that you need, that you want, that you need. So write down what are the things that really made me feel lit up in that thing that I chose to do today. Those are cues or clues, really, of what lights you up that leads to your purpose. And by the way, that volunteer thing that I just told you about, I didn't go back to doing the drug and rehab, but I went back and started back to counseling, and eventually I opened up my practice. So follow those crumbs. And number three key to find your calling is embody the good feelings. And I'll tell you what that means. While you're feeling the feelings while you're doing it, but it's important, like after you get in the car and you're driving home, really start holding it. Embodiment is important because we tend to dismiss things. Oh, I had a fun day. It was really nice. But what if you embodied it, felt those cues and clues that really lit you up? What it does is it reminds your subconscious that this is really important. Pay attention, don't dismiss it. Because there are many things that you may have dismissed along the way, I certainly did, that were really part of your ultimate purpose. So embody it, feel it, appreciate it. Don't dismiss it. It was just another nice day. Um, so let me review. To find your true calling. Number one, follow your heart, not your head. Get out of your comfort zone and do that those joyful things that light you up. Number two, pay attention to the cues, the clues, the things that what led me to say, wow, this is joyful. Like really look at it. And it's an interesting, powerful question. It's an in depth question, but you really understand this is part of who I am and what I need in my essence. And number three, embody it, hold it so that you don't dismiss this because we can miss that very thing that we're meant to be doing. So I hope this helps. Let me know in the comments what was helpful to you or any questions you have about purpose that I can answer, and I can make another video based on your questions.